So today I'm going to be explaining action potential. My name is Ari. So the reason why we do action potential is it helps our neurons send the neurotransmitter all the way to the end so calcium can bind to it and basically synapse it triggers calcium to create a signal. So the way it works is in action potential where we have a graph, right? So what happens is energy comes in through this thing where it comes in through a dendrite and then it goes in and it comes in at a -70 when it gets in, right? Outside it's -90. When it hits in, it's at -70. Then it depends on your glutamate or things like, GABA, how fast it's gonna go. Glutamate, it's an excited past synaptic potential, so it basically gets to that -5, -55 pretty fast, right? But with the GABA it takes forever. It doesn't take forever, but it's just a slower process. So what's happening in this is, you know, the chemical basically comes in, it gets here at -70, it comes in and it's at a resting potential. All this happening right here where it's just at 70, sitting at 70, it's a resting position. That means nothing is really happening, it's just sitting at that -70. But when it bumps up, and then that's what we call a graded potential, where we're bumping up the threshold, right, to to get it to a -55. So what's happening is this right here, from your resting to here, this would be a graded potential, but eventually what's happening is you're getting it to a threshold potential where it hits that -55 when it gets inside this right here. Once it gets inside this right here, it it shoots up. That means right when it hits -55, it starts pumping sodiums in. So it goes pump, 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 and it creates so many channels that this right here, -55, it goes all the way up to this thing called +30. So it has such an effect that, as you can see, it has such an effect that it goes from -50 all the way to +30. And this process right here, you call this depolarization. And then where it hits from -70, -55, that -55 is called the voltage channel. So it's the voltage channel, it depolarizes, it hits all the way up, and up here it hits the actual potential. Once it hits the actual potential, it stops producing, pumping in the sodiums. What it does is repolarization. It goes back to repolarization, where you have bunch of these small sodium channels leaking out. So you have a bunch of these sodium channels, open, leak out, and you repolarize all the way down to, -90. So what basically is happening is it hits -50, you pump a bunch of sodiums in, it brings it up, it hits the action potential. Once it hits that +30, it can't go over, so it brings it back down, so you can leave some potassiums out in case to keep you at that +30. So when it brings it down, it comes down, and then it goes to this thing called hyperpolarization, where hyperpolarization is below the 70. So it accidentally, basically what's happening is, when even though it depolarizes and repolarization, it has to hyperpolarize, because you need something to bring it back to a resting membrane, like, no, not resting membrane, resting potential. And that's what it is, we're bringing it back to the resting potential. So what's happening is, GABA is just here, it's in the graded potential, where chop, 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 but it's slower. But glutamate, it chops so fast because it's excitatory, excitatory past simple potential, like, it's like it's so fast that it gets there so fast, right? But once it hits the threshold, it depolarization, that means, it's depolarizing to bring the temperature up to a positive. And once it hits the positive, it leaves them out, and then it goes to hyperpolarization. But in order for it to get back, it's called refactoring back to the resting potential. So we start wherever we started, it has to get back to it in order for you to do it again. And that's actual potentials in neurons. That's how signals work when they're sending, neurotransmitters or whatever. That's how they're passing energy to, that's what action potential does in your body. That's how neurons, that's how axon signals through. And that'll be it.